Yow. Day 90 something. All right. I don't know. Today I almost didn't make the video. I didn't have time. My train got delayed. I was at the I was held hostage by the New York City train system today. Um, Today's a good one. Today's a good day. I'm in high spirits today. I um I had a run in with I've had some run-ins with temptation in the past 48 hours with rationalizations. Whenever you start haggling with yourself, you know you're about to do the wrong thing, right? Like when you debate yourself, you start negotiating over what to do and why you should do it. Rationalizations. I always say the rationalization is a lie. That's one of my favorite sayings that I've come up with. Maybe someone else said it before. Fuck them. Um, Last night it was like 1 a.m., which is very early for me. I go to bed at like 5 or 6 a.m. For work. And Not early for me. It's like late afternoon for me, or like early night, I suppose. And I was hungry, and I'd had 1,600 calories or so, like 1,500, and I kind of ate as stupid. I usually am never hungry unless I eat kind of dumb, and I didn't. My chicken hadn't defrosted, so I ate like turkey bacon sandwiches like 4 times, which is like dumb as fuck. Um, and I started getting those thoughts. I was like, dude, just order. It'll be 2 weeks until your wife's home on Wednesday. So like until Wednesday, just go nuts. And then it was like, and why don't we drink too? You had a couple drinks a couple times the past 2 weeks. You're drinking again. Why don't we drink too? I mean, you're home alone. You're a bachelor. Like all of these thoughts come into my mind. I know they're nonsense, but I'm literally like willpower struggling. Um, and temptation's funny. It's funny. You could look it right in the eye, and it doesn't really matter. You might be owned by it sometimes. The only way around that type of thing that I know of, aside from completely removing yourself from the possibility of the temptation, don't keep alcohol in the house, don't keep shitty food in the house. If you can find a way to keep yourself from ordering food, unfortunately, I live in New York City. I can get any food and any alcohol I want any time of any day, so that's not like doesn't really work always for me. Um, but I like what I did was I pushed off the idea of eating or drinking as long as I could until it was like 3 a.m. And I was like, okay, well, nobody wants to start drinking at 3 a.m. when they have to go to bed at 5 a.m. And I don't want to order food, right? So I had like a protein bar and like a piece of turkey, and all of the temptations suddenly went away. And that's like a tricky thing, I think, especially for people that like struggle with like fucked up eating patterns or being fat or whatever it is. And it is a human thing. You don't need to have some sort of weird psychological issue with food for this to happen to you. It's just normal to but be tempted to do the wrong thing. But like it's hard to go, oh, I'm supposed to eat 1,600 calories every day. Today I'll eat 2,000. Tomorrow I'll eat 1,600 again, because then your like food and drug obsessive brain begins to create loops of rationalization that go, oh, well, if you eat over, you might as well go way over, because you usually restrict yourself so intensely, you might as well feast very intensely. And that process, that basic thought process, is what keeps people fat forever. That's like the linchpin of how it happens. You go, oh, well, I could eat a protein bar and just settle this hunger. And yeah, I would be breaking my diet in the sense that I went over 1,600 calories. Yeah, I'd be eating a little more than I'm supposed to if I want to lose weight. Yeah, but that's fine. It's fine to eat 300 calories extra. It's fine to eat 600 calories extra. You should be dieting well enough that that's not going to like kill your week. But it's the thought process of, well, I never do this, I won't do it again. I'll go nuts. I'll get a pizza, and then I'll go back to being legit tomorrow, and I'll fucking I'm gonna hone in. That's the process that everyone gets into when they lose weight. I usually don't have that issue. I would imagine the reason I felt that kind of temptation was, as I said, I'd eaten strangely. I didn't have much protein throughout the day, which is like a huge no. I really need to eat protein or I get very hungry. I need to have like an 80% protein diet. Also, sorry, fucking cunt. Holy fuck. Piece of shit. Also, drinking just a few times over the span of like 3 weeks, 2 weeks rather, will mess up your ability to generate willpower and to say no to drinking more. Um, Unfortunately, that's just how it works, especially if you're someone that is restrictive of things. Um, my temptations for alcohol are relatively ordinary. I would imagine they're as temptuous as anyone else with a kind of chaotic brain. I do obviously am prone to addiction and have an addictive personality, but also it's interesting. I have a lot of evidence to the contrary. I've always been able to discipline myself. You know, when the chips are down, I never drank when I was young. I never got into drinking until I got older. I never drank until it was readily available, meaning like I worked in a bar setting. But then, just the same, I understand alcoholism is there's a large genetic component, and there's extreme cases of alcoholism, very present ones on my mother and father's side. So it's like I'm taking it from all angles, and I'm Irish, and I'm a writer. All these things compile together, so it's like brutal. But I've never really like drank in an alcohol capacity. I've drank in a lot, but it's usually coming from a place of extreme boredom. It's usually because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to, and alcohol is just filling the boredom gap. But I try not to analyze that too much. It's hardly relevant. But then even on my way home today, I'm like, oh fuck, it's 2 weeks. I love this like new form of rationalization I've invented. I've invented this thing where I should be allowed to do whatever I want because tomorrow is the 2 week marker before my wife gets home, and I'll use those 2 weeks to go super hard. It's complete nonsense. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It is a like brain looking for an excuse to do something. That's what that is. Um, but I was like, walking home, and I was like thinking, like maybe I'll get a couple of drinks. I'll go there. I'll get drinks. I'll bring drinks home, or I'll have a couple of drinks there. I won't bring any alcohol home. And then I like jogged across the street because I had to cross the street, and I could feel my gut like swaying violently. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna. I'm in no position to be indulging. Um, but you have to fail and expose yourself to these things in order to overcome and like find out how to actually overcome these kinds of temptations. It is one of the hardest things you could do as a human being is resist a temptation to eat or to drink or to do drugs, especially if you have the right mind for it, you're in the right place for it. Alone right now. My schedule's all everything that or my ordinary. You must understand, especially with the videos the past month. I had a very, very, very exact day for a year. My days were identical. Now my days are completely different, and all of the way I use willpower, the amount of time I sleep, when I do X, when I do Y, when I do Z, all of it has completely become inverted and changed. So my capacity to generate and um, dictate the usage of my willpower is completely disrupted. To some extent, that's an excuse, but that is what's happening on like a biomechanical level. There's a reason everything is harder for me all of a sudden. So you have to learn and accept these things and let it pass. um, it would be much harder for me to even think about drinking if my wife was around. She would be on red alert if I was drinking in the house. It would be like, what's going on? Is it Christmas Brendan again, where he's drinking a bottle of whiskey every 2 days for like a month and a half straight, and gains 40 pounds? No. um so I think the only way to really expose yourself to this type of thing is like you have to fail the right way. Like, yeah, I ate over my diet yesterday. I had a protein bar, but like the alternative was ordering like $65 worth of shit on Grubhub and like 2 6 packs of White Claw for no reason. Alcohol I don't even want to drink, but just doing it because I'm like you could feel the burst of dopamine release for a second, but then at the cost of today I would feel like fucking brutally a brutal degree of self hatred today if I did that yesterday, right? Um, Everyone's different with these types of things, but the notion of why you would do something and why you won't is pretty much the same in everyone. And I think anyone who's had an issue with eating will understand exactly what I mean when it comes to, hey, I'm gonna eat over my diet, I'm gonna go fucking nuts. When it's like, hey, if you have like a turkey sandwich, you'll probably stop thinking this way. Like it feels sometimes like an urge can only be satisfied by meeting it with the maximum answer by meeting it at its highest point. But you could generally make a powerful urge go away with a very small dose of the thing you're in the mood for, with the exception of alcohol. I don't think alcohol works that way. I think alcohol is very multiplicative. But food, your hunger will go away, because it is a passing psychological release, generally more than a physical one. But anyway, I have to stop because I'll literally run out of time to upload the video. I will see you tomorrow. And things are becoming normaler. Okay, give me a chance. The channel will come back. All right. I love you all.